Okay. Reaper Miniatures. We manufacture here on site and sell
Right in our factory in Denton, Texas.
small pewter figurines.
We manufacture miniatures for gaming.
Primarily metal miniatures for painting and gaming.
Figurines, miniatures.
I like to call them creatures in pewter, knights, damsels, dragons, and all sorts of other genres. Cowboys, Indians, Sherlock Holmes, Jack the Ripper.
And now we're doing them in a plastic called Bones, and it's been a pretty big hit.
Depending on who I'm talking to, I either work for a toy company or we make accessories for Dungeons and Dragons and role-play games and things like that.
Reaper is a hobby company. A lot of people mistake us for a toy company.
But it's a hobby, beginning to end, and it's a very addictive hobby.
And a lot of people just paint them for the hobby of painting miniatures.
People collect them, people paint them, people play games with them.
Hobby, painting, assembly, conversion, things like that. Chief uses are in tabletop wargaming and role-playing.
Reaper Miniatures manufactures everything that hobbyists and gamers need to enjoy the art of painting miniatures and gaming with miniatures.
That's basically it in a nutshell.
I'm Adrienne Hawkins, and I'm the office manager.
My name is Gus Lant, and I run the on-site retail store.
I'm Brian Stilts, and I'm the production manager for Reaper Miniatures.
I'm Kit Pierce, Director of IT here at Reaper Miniatures.
I'm Matt Clark, and I am the production director, and I also program software for the shop floor use.
My name's Ron Hawkins. I'm the art director for Reaper Miniatures.
David Pugh, CFO for HobbyQ Reaper Miniatures.
My name is Ed Pugh, and I'm the CEO of Reaper Miniatures. Well, like we said before, girls, fame, fortune,
Money.
groupies, yeah. It was started for a lot of reasons. We were playing in bands at the time and wanted to make extra money to fund playing in the bands.
While working in an accounting office.
Yeah, we're accountants.
Yeah.
And
And then we started it, and then it was a hobby, and then it started growing using our expertise. It grew into an actual business, and now we do it full time.
It started in half a car garage down in Fort Worth, half of a 2-car garage, I guess, down in Fort Worth.
Yeah,
At my ex-wife's house.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how it got started, and just sort of was a whim. It's actually, the name came from a character in the movie Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. We felt the weekend we needed to come up with a name for the company. We watched that movie, fell in love with that character, and boom. So we just named it Reaper.
I started here in 1995. At the time, the shop was very, very small. We only had a handful of people working there, and I came on. I was working at a telemarketing place, and I had known Ed and Al and Dave from previous years, and I started as basically. Actually, I just started as painting, but one day when I brought in some painted figures, I said, "Guys, do you need a salesperson?" And they looked at me and said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I had, like I said, I had a telemarketing background, so I started making cold calls to retail stores asking if they wanted or needed miniatures for their store or their stores. And so I had a huge list of stores, retail stores. I just called them one by one, tried to sell them on the product, and that's primarily how I got started here. Eventually, the old art director moved on, and I took his place. Ed trained me, and is still training me to this day, on how to work with people and how to deal with customers, sculptors, just people in and out, everyday type stuff.
Reaper was much smaller. They were just focused on their handful of core lines of metal miniatures, and since I've been here, they've really expanded into expanding their paint lines, getting into the pre-painted plastics, and now the Bones unpainted plastics. So they just really seem to be growing into new markets.
A lot different. Wow. In some ways, a lot different. I think the employees were a lot different. Potentially more interesting, but less quality.
I started with the company about 11 years ago now. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to make a website?" And I said, "Sure." And the website became an online store, became networking, became all sorts of different things. and I've been here ever since.
I started with the company, I was a gamer originally, and I noticed on the back of the catalog that the company address was in Louisville, which is where I was at the time, and I was looking for a job, and I showed up at the company and started asking around and eventually got hired and have been here for 11 years.
Depending on the time of the year and what's going on, anywhere from between 20 and 40 people can be on the payroll.
25 to 30 part-time and full-time employees. Keeps you busy.
We also employ a lot of freelance artists that all work from home. They live around the world.
It's sort of funny though, when we invite people down here for our ReaperCon or what have you, people are surprised. They think we're really a lot bigger than we are. They see the handful of people we have working here, again, 2 dozen, and they go, really? You can do all that with just this many people? Yeah, we can.
Right now, we're really busy. We just wrapped up a Kickstarter that was almost $3.5 million. It was the third most successful Kickstarter of all time and the most successful Kickstarter in the games category that wasn't a video game. And that has meant that I'm working on the logistics of not only trying to fulfill existing orders and existing demand, but I've got on the horizon very soon coming up an order for 5 million miniatures for almost 20,000 customers that I have to have the logistics of how my department is going to handle our part of that job in mind by the time when that shipment arrives. If I don't already have a plan and already know what I'm going to do, we're sunk. So I'd say we're pretty darn busy right now.
Well, right now, our website's in the top 1% of all website traffic in the world. So we're pretty busy on the website front. Now, we're also pushing the technology in a lot of different ways, hooking up different systems and automating more of our production floor. And my son asked me, Dad, when's your big project going to be done? I said, when I'm dead, because there's always something more to do.
Busier than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. How about that?
Over my head all the time. Between shows and trying to keep the bills paid and keeping the books up and working deals with the merchants and the banks and everything else and working through projects, it's very, very busy. Kickstarter, shows, ReaperCon's coming up. It's very, very busy all the time.
Contract jobs get big. Our record is 12 tons of metal. Was it about 12 tons of metal in a 24-hour period in casting? We have done figures for almost all of your popular video games. Civilization V released last year, a year or two ago. That was one of our last big ones. But Doom, Westwood Studios, Microsoft, Sony, all your EverQuest figures, we were the ones that did all of those. But so contract jobs can get really big. Right now, one of our biggest jobs is going to be fulfilling our own Kickstarter. Just between going to that question about how busy are we, between now, I have 18 days left in the rest of this year to wrap up this year, so I'll be running and hopping then. But we are effectively nonstop running balls to the walls till next May. We have our own fulfillment that has to occur in February. We have January to prepare for our show in April. In March, we actually take care of the fulfillment shipments. That's going to be huge. We'll be processing, let's see, we processed 84 pallets so far. We'll probably process around 600 pallets worth of material between now and the end of March. It all has to be shipped. It's going worldwide, things like that. In addition to that, we have a PAX show we have to be ready to. That's a huge consumer show on the West Coast. In March, I'm going to have to be in Vegas for our own consumer show. And in April, we have our own show right here for our own consumers. That has around an attendance of 300 or 400. We do the whole shop over. It lasts for a week. But it takes a lot out of us to get ready for it. So between now and May, if you're looking for a busy time, between now and May, this is the time. On a day like today, the biggest train wreck gets the most people. We generally have, through the years, hired alphas, personality people, and they get an area and they work it, and that's really about it. We are not really a company of corporate culture with a lot of whiteboards and meetings and things of that nature. We're more of a, it's your job, get the hell out there and get it done.
My wife works here. I'm happy to say that I don't have a girlfriend at the same time as a wife, so that works pretty well. But my children are also, my youngest is 15, and then I have a 16-year-old son, and they both also work here on occasion. I think they both maybe put in 6 hours a week. It's not a lot.
Well, plenty. Adrian is Ron's wife. She runs the front office. Ed's wife used to do the bills, collecting and things like that. We have cousins and friends. Brian's wife, Shannon, is she's in charge of casting. It really kind of is just one big family. Everybody knows everybody, and it's either you're cousins with somebody, or you're married to somebody, or your boyfriend came to work for the weekend because we had a big job to fill, or yeah, that sort of thing.
My wife helps out for all of the events. She's always there right at 6 a.m. with me, setting up all the tables and chairs, making sure everything's clean, making sure everything's in order, and then helps with all the event registrations. Sometimes our events get 130, 150 people, so it takes a lot of coordination for scheduling everything.
Yes, we have a history of having wives and girlfriends work here. As a matter of fact, my wife is the office manager. She works here. She's worked here for about 3 years. But yes, we've had a history of wives and girlfriends working here. Yes.
Yeah, I have a husband who also is here, and I give him hell every day. So he becomes my, can I say bitch?
Yeah.
He becomes my bitch sometimes.
We're always finding new things to say, this could be a really good fit for us. And we just find those projects that we find really interesting personally, and we go and get them done. And happily, our customers are enough like us that our projects turn out to be good for them too.
Well, I started doing it because I collected miniatures before I ever came to Texas when I lived in Illinois. And I was in contact with Ed long before I moved to Texas. And it was my hobby. So when my wife and I moved down here for her work, this was basically my first stop. We still hadn't unloaded the U-Haul, and I came over and stopped at Reaper. So that was my inspiration right there. Was just I was a big fan. And then I stay inspired because what we do is awesome. It's just fun working here. And what we make is awesome. So, I mean, we could be making widgets and I'd be doing the same things, but it just wouldn't be as meaningful. So it really is cool to work here.
This is not just a job. This is a hobby. We all love what we do. I think that if you can have a job where you love what you do, that if your job is your hobby and your hobby is your job, I think you love it even more. So that's how I find the inspiration. Is I just love what I do. I've been painting miniatures for 30 plus years, I guess, and or I've been involved with miniatures for about 30 plus years. So it's just something I love, and every day I come into work and I'm excited to get to work to see what new thing the day is going to bring.
I enjoy my job because I do enjoy working with my husband, and I do love the people that I work with. One of the wonderful things is it's very family oriented, and therefore I can go and do the things that I need to do with my kids too.
And I'll go out and get figures from other companies that are really cool just because I know how hard that was for them to make, and I kind of want to support that even if it's, quote, a competitor. We're all in this industry together, and I think everything we can do to strengthen the industry as a whole works. So for me, that's my motivation when I wake up in the morning and come to work. Yeah, I've got to look at a pile of spreadsheets, and I'm going to get yelled at for this, and I'm going to get fussed at for that, and some people on the boards are going to be very happy, and some people on the message boards are going to be very angry, and it can sometimes be challenging, but the chief motivation is, at the end of the day, I've made something that I love, and I've made something that I'm proud of, and I'm very proud to have been a part of that.